Because ultimately, when we want something, we don't want the thing. We want what it's going to represent to us, what is attached to it.
If you want to grow spiritually, don't go sit in a cave in India and meditate, right? Because then you're going to have cave problems. Like the cave is too hot, the cave is too cold. Start a business, step outside your comfort zone and do something that's going to challenge you every day, because it forces you to do this kind of work, to become the thing that you want.
Manifestation, and people come to this wanting one thing. They want control over their outcomes. Any kind of manifestation, that's why we come to it. Certainty, certainty, certainty. And at the very end, it's like, wait a sec, that's not what we're really here for. We're here to follow the synchronicities. And that's the certainty, that spirit, God, quantum field, whatever your language, is always in partnership with us.
Hey guys, what's going on? It's Russ Ruffino. Welcome to today's show. As you guys know, the focus of this channel is to pull back the curtain and show you everything that we've learned from over $100 million in high ticket coaching sales. So if you're a coach, consultant, expert, author, or speaker, and you want to learn how to monetize your expertise, take your business to the next level, smash that like and subscribe button, because you are absolutely in the right place. Today, I have somebody absolutely amazing. I can't wait to introduce you to someone who has been an incredible friend, a wonderful mentor to me, and someone who actually can help you get your brain and your whole consciousness wired to create the life that you want. So please join me in welcoming Colette Baron-Reid. Colette, what's going on?
Hey, I'm so excited to be here. I'm doing great. I'm loving it. I'm doing tons of podcasts. But I just like talking to you, Russ. So here I am.
I get to talk to you for hours about anything. So I'll try to keep it focused today on your new book, which is The Art of Manifesting, which is absolutely incredible.
There it is.
There it is. Nice.
Yeah.
Very, very, very cool. So, all right. Well, can you give us a quick overview of The Art of Manifesting? Because it is something unique. It's definitely something that I have not seen before.
No, you haven't. I know you haven't. So, as you know, I work mostly with founders of companies and coaches, etc., like yourself. And what I have found, including for myself, is that I can suffer from burnout. I had a 20-person staff at one point. I had which maybe not be so big for you, but it was big for me. And during the pandemic, I started having a lot of anxiety and whatever, and I started painting again. What I noticed was when I went back to moving my arm and painting, I would get calmer. So all of that noise would kind of go into my arm. So after I broke my foot and I couldn't stand in front of a canvas. Now, I was an artist before, but I was most interested in how does this relate to the fact that it made me think clearer, and I was making better decisions when I was slapping paint on a it changed everything. So I was like, okay, I need to understand how this is working. And I am a complete nerd, even though I'm very, I kind of live at the corner of Fringe and Maine, right? In Woo and Maine. So anyhow, I had broken my foot and I was interested in line art, and I just had to have something to do. So I started going down the rabbit hole on YouTube. This is a few years ago, and I discovered something called the neuroarts. And the neuroarts blueprint is actually a really interesting multidisciplinary manner in which we see how art, sound, art, movement, the somatics can actually shift brain plasticity, but also so we wire ourselves for aligning with what we want if we are rehearsing a particular state of being. Now, Joe Dispenza talks about this in his work when he talks about rehearsing an elevated emotion. He doesn't say rehearsing. I say rehearsing, but when in his events, for example, you get to a place where you have an elevated emotion, you become no person, no thing, no whatever, and then all of a sudden you become somebody different, right? But I needed a more practical way of doing it on a day-to-day basis, because I'm dealing with clients and things I want to do, and like how do we apply this? So I came up with this idea. Sorry, you might have to edit that. I came all the little stuttering. So I came up with the idea of, if I were to draw shapes that I know are benign, then and given that my own background is, I understand sigil work, etc. This is a kind of really ancient way of creating marks to symbolize manifesting something in advance, right? So cultures have done that for thousands of years. Our culture doesn't. We have icons like McDonald's, arches, things like that, where we can identify a symbol, a symbol to recognize that it means something. So we know, oh, I go there, I get that. But ultimately, I want to go here and get that, right? Something. And so, looking at some of the more ancient forms of simple line art was in the caves where, way back when, as far as 700,000 BC, in India, where they found the first cave drawings, that people believe that these markings were about engaging with the invisible, right? That marking it in advance, like I want to have a successful hunt. So I draw it first, right? And then it doesn't tell the story after the fact, it tells the story before. So, how can I align myself with this energy? I'm certainly not the first person to know this. I actually worked with the head of the Canadian, what was she part of? Canadian Olympic Committee. No, the Olympic, was she sorry, you're gonna have to edit this. Anyway, her name was, I worked with somebody named Carol Ann Letheren many years ago, who was the head of the I think the Canadian Olympics, or maybe it could have been the World Olympic Committee, but it was a long time ago, 25 years ago. And she introduced me to a couple of Olympic athletes, and we talked about how visualizing and seeing something as done already in the now, it enables them to get what they need much quicker, right? So, and that's what the part of their rehearsal was, right? When you go in and you practice. So why wouldn't we practice reality creation, right? Why is it one and done, where we look at something, see it, want it, and assume we're going to get it? Like the universe isn't Uber Eats. We have to have some type of engagement. But I have found that we get too heady with this manifestation concept. Everything is heady. It's all these different techniques that are very much in the head. And I'm like, okay, so what if we get very granular and very simple and go back to when we were kids and we doodled and we take that emotional state of being, because ultimately when we want something, we don't want the thing. We want what it's going to represent to us, right? It's like what is attached to it. So say you want to have 10 clients. Now, do you want to be overwhelmed by 10 clients, or do you want 10 clients because you can serve them because you're going to feel really good? So you want a specific type of client that's going to make you feel really good after, not just 10 clients, right? So, because you can get any 10 clients. So it's getting a little bit more into the feeling state and then drawing it. So when you draw circles and wavy lines, there is an archetypal part of the brain that this lives in us. Oh, we know that that's benign. We know that when we're drawing circles, that's very positive, right? So circles represent unity, that represents spirit, it represents birth, it represents goodness. Wavy lines represents movement, like the flow of a river. So we want to get into that flow state, and I found that I could do that when I did this type of drawing. So I taught all the execs at Hay House how to do it, and they just basically said, "We need you to write a book about this." Right? So I did. I'd been in this, I met this really great teacher online who had a membership site, and I joined her membership, and she taught also a very rule heavy, intellectual based Russian technique called neurographica, which I was not attracted to because it felt there was a lot of resistance in it, but I was still attracted to the way some of it looked. And I was already doing art like that. And then I looked at who were the original people, because it all looked like neurons and cells and stuff. So anyway, we can talk more about that in a second, but bottom line is this works, and how it works is that it trains the mind and trains your reticular activating system of the brain, which is like a bouncer in your head, which decides what is important to you. And it retrains that to only allow in that which is going to match the feeling state, right? So the form might be different, but the feeling state is going to be matched in the outer world, and it will come to you through meaningful coincidences, AKA, right, synchronicities. And it works every time.
So the drawing itself puts you into a relaxed meditative state. Like you're not pressuring yourself to draw some kind of masterpiece, right? The way the drawings are in the book, it's very like free flowing and whatever. But then I love that. Yeah, it's putting you in a meditative state and it's getting it into your body, right? In a way that like, you're kind of just like flowing with it, right? So how important is it to be hyper specific about what you want? Because I
Not at
think this is
all.
something that, okay, cool. So talk
Well,
about that a
no,
little bit, because
because
this is
both
something people
and.
talk about a lot. You got to know exactly what
No,
you want.
because here's the thing. You can be hyper specific about what you want, but what if it's not good for you? Right? You think you want to have this, right? I mean, like if you think that this hyper specific thing, like I did that for years, and I got the things I wanted to manifest. I got a record deal. I mean, what are the chances? I got a record deal when I was 40 years old with a major label. Mind you, they thought I was 28 because I look young. But that I put on my vision boards and all this stuff. It was so hyper specific, and I was so miserable when I got it because it gave me nothing that I had hooked onto it. My agendas that were attached to it came to me in a different form. I got both. I got both the hyper specific thing that made me miserable and the thing that was making me really happy in a form I didn't want, but became what I do now. Right? Like it was so crazy. So I have this story of both and I think that the reason I experienced that was to teach it to other people, because it's what we do in the art of manifesting is help you drill down to what's really behind the desire for the specific thing you say you want. Right? Like, let's drill it right back down to, I believe that if this happens to me, this is what I'm going to get. Right? Or this is what I'm going to experience. This is what I am assuming is going to come with that. Right? So example, like I want to win the lottery. Right? And I've met people who have won the lottery. I went on a vacation one time and I met this couple and they won like $500 million from, and they had paid for all their friends to come on the vacation. And I remember them just unable, like they could no longer relate the same way, and yet they didn't become the people that could handle that. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like we have to become the person that can easily have that specific thing that we say we want and experience it with ease, and also understand that there may be some detours getting there too. But also, if we are not clear about what we hope that's going to give us as a result of that. Like, for example, people today, so much effort is about influencing, right? Being an influencer and what that could mean. You have fame equals you're liked by other people or you're seen by other people because you have an agenda to be seen. Now, there's a shadow to that. And so a lot of these people are not equipped to handle the shadow of that fame, right? So are we equipped for that specific thing that we want?
Okay, why don't we start out by just like walking us through the mechanics of the technique itself? So I know we start with waking up our hands and then doing an energy, but walk us through it.
All right, so I'm going to give you a short, but I'm going to explain each step of the way and why it works, right? So the first thing that we do, the whole idea is about getting our brains online because we are broadcasting and receiving all the time. Let's first go there to the quantum field, right? So that is how we engage with the quantum field, with the world at large. We're always sending out a signal, like we're like little radios, and we receive back. So we want to tell our brain, that is that broadcaster, that it needs to pay attention to something. So this is from Qigong, right? And so I learned this actually. The last time I was taken through this was by Robert Peng, who's this amazing Qigong teacher who you have to know. But I actually learned how to do this when I became a Reiki master 25 years ago. So you rub your hands together and then you go like this. So it's kind of like you push your hands and you wait until there's a pushback or some type of energy that you feel, and everyone will feel it. You'll start to feel this ball pushing your hands apart. because you've intended. Now you have to rub them first. You're not going to see that. Yeah. And then just follow what I do. And just like this far apart, and you let me know when you start to feel a push. Just like, it's like you're kind of scooping air.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you can build a big one too. Like I've taught people how to feel energy 20 feet away from somebody, and that person thinks that person's touching their head. Okay. So now what we want to do is we felt that our body has recognized life force energy. Okay. Now we're going to symbolize the universe by pushing this energy onto paper. So we take a piece of paper, I'll show it to you, and you would so let's say your paper's on the thing. So you press it this far and you keep your hand just about this far away and you go like this across the page. And you start feeling that that energy is shoving your hand away from the page. You let me know when you feel it.
Yeah, I feel that.
You feel that? It's like, it's different. Yeah. Like it feels weird, doesn't it? Okay. Yeah. Now when you look at your page, now your brain has gone, well, that was interesting. So that I'm going to pay attention to that. This thing now resembles, it's supposed to symbolize infinite potential. Now it's a piece of paper. This is not just paper. It now represents something, right? We're making it mean something, okay? Because we're meaning makers. We're assigning meaning. Okay, now we're going to take a pen, and we're in the center of the page, we're going to put a dot. The dot should be about half the size of an American dime.
Okay.
Okay, and that dot, you fill it in, and I'll show everybody the dot should look like this. Like that. So for people who if they're seeing this, so you stare at the dot and just stare directly at the dot until you start noticing light shows up and it will move around the page just by staring at the dot.
Okay.
You tell me when you see something.
Yeah, I see something.
Yeah, do you see like a halo? Do you see 3 dots? Do you see
like white
streaks?
Like whitish, kind of like a blur almost, and then
does it move?
moves outward. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay.
I feel like I'm already really good at this, Colette. Like I feel like
Okay, good. Yes, because you're so willing. And also anybody that knows about manifestation will be easy at this because you're already geared to this. It's kind of like you're already looking for something that gives you that practical access, right? So here we did. Now we just told the brain, and the brain is really paying attention right now. So we're like, wow, I just saw something that wasn't there before. So what does the reticular activating system of the brain do? It clocks. Bingo. We are looking for what we cannot see now. Okay. So we want to align with what is invisible. What is manifestation? It is making material that which is not material, right? So we're bringing an experience to ourselves that wasn't there before, right? So between here we are now to the thing that we say we want, there is a gap. So we've just narrowed the gap right now. And now the brain, which is this is our signal maker, is because it's not a noggin thing. It's not like we're calculating. It's not a generative thing. We are receiving and transmitting. Okay, so now we've looked at that. We know this is the universe. Now, let's make the dot mean something. So we are going to put our intention into the dot. So what I'd like us all to do is to make a decision that we're going to be grateful for one thing in advance. Now, not $1 billion company, because that'll take too long. Something small, or not small, like I want my best month ever, you know what I mean, in business, right? And you have to give yourself a month, or like this next week I want blah, blah, blah. You don't want to narrow time too much because the universe is going to decide the form, but we want to just be really grateful in advance for the thing that we say. Now, letting go the form, right? Because the hyper-specific doesn't always work. And we don't always want hyper-specific. We say to the universe, I think it's this hyper-specific thing that I think I want. I think it's that, but give me something that matches my gratitude when I get it. Like, I am so happy that this happened, right? So we want to get stupefied in gratitude, but how are we going to do that? So, and what does that even mean? So we want to know, we'll take a look at the dot and we make it and conjure up a memory. Like I like to imagine a memory when I'm so in awe and so happy and so free. And for me, it's when I set eyes on my dog. The first time my heart just split open and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this little soulmate is right in front of me with this puffy face, right? Like that for me is the gratitude. You might have the first time you smelt your baby, right? You're like their head or looked in their eyes or achieved your first milestone, whatever that is. You know what that feels like. So don't worry about trying to find something to be grateful for now. We want you to rehearse the feeling and apply it to this new thing, right? So don't even think about the thing you want. So now what we're going to, okay, so we're going to show you how this works. So this is this concentrated dot. Then I'm going to use a thicker pen, sorry, because you guys won't see it, a brush. Okay, so then from the dot, we're going to show the universe. We're going to actually take that. We're going to imagine that that gratitude flows out as a broadcast in a frequency, because these are called frequency lines, to the universe. Because this is the universe, it's got no problem. So we're just showing, we're going to do 6 lines right now. Actually, I like doing 8, so we'll do 8 lines, and they're not straight. They flow wherever the heck they want to go. So they should look like something like this. Okay? Now, we've told the universe, and then make sure it goes to the edge of the page because it keeps going, right? The universe is much bigger than the page. But we want to know the universe is listening. And we always get what we rehearse. We never get what we want. We get what we are, right? The state of being that we are is what we manifest. So now we're going to sort of trace the line, and it's not going to be perfect, but we're going to imagine the universe answering us back along the same line. And I'm going to show you what that should look like. See? All right. So sort of tracing it. I can't, and I can show you here like this, like just like this, not perfect. Like you don't need to be you don't need any artistic talent to do this whatsoever. You need to be able to draw bad lines, right? Not straight. Oh yeah, who cares what this looks like? Okay, the universe is listening to me and it is answering me like you can have it. Okay? Right now, where are we? So we want to get there because right now where we are here, that's a theory. So we're going to draw a portal. And right now we're going to draw a door. So I'm going to show you how to draw the door. So we are going to draw this portal. Oh, my dog. Sorry about this. This is a door.
Okay.
Okay. Where is the dot? On what side?
It's on this side.
Okay, well, we want to step through that door into
Right.
infinite potential. So
Okay.
I want you to imagine that you're actually stepping into the door when you draw the next thing, okay? Right now, when you step, because you have limitations. This is you. All right, so you can be grateful for all the things that you know about. And so you're going to draw circles of gratitude. Now I'm doing it fast, but when you guys do this at home or like you do it again, you're going to do this with focus, right? So you're going to draw these circles and you're going to say, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't even know if, like, thank you for everything I know I have to be grateful for right here. What I know, yay me. Right? Okay. Now, but that's what you know. But spirit or their quantum field knows way more than you what you should be having that matches that feeling state of gratitude. So we're going to draw these big circles out here. And when I teach people, I had over 60,000 people at my vision board challenge this past year when I showed them how to do this. And people were writing in these stories about how different it was for them afterwards, because this is called the zone of synchronicity. And I say, surprise me. These are the actual things that we don't know anything about. And those are the kind of things that come to us through meaningful synchronicities and coincidences that I know they're called intentional. This ignites intentional synchronicity. You already have what matches that gratitude. So for example, let's say you were hyper aware that you wanted this one particular client, but that client was going to make you nuts, but you didn't know that. You did not know that. All right. But you think it looks so good. I want to work with so-and-so because you haven't heard the horror stories. and it doesn't happen. But you get another client that you never heard of before that brings in even better results for you and your business, and brings in all kinds of interesting people that you would have never thought would be amazing. And then out of the blue, it was like, whoa, I'm so happy this happened. And you find out about all the other crap. So I always tell the universe, take away from me what doesn't match me. Take it away. I don't want to have to go through the shit. Right. So I build that in. Like, don't let me have that. If it's not for me, take it away from me. Because right? Take it away from me. So give me what matches the gratitude. Because don't you want to feel good? Right? Don't you want to it's not just about making money, right? I'm talking to, because your audience is mostly coaches, right? So, and I certified intuitive coaches, and that's one of the things that I do. And that's one of the things that we learn in there, is that your perfect client is not the person that you draw as an avatar. It's the one who shows up that matches what you're offering that you don't know yet. Right. So it's really great that people get super hyper focused on one thing. But what if other people come and you're like, oh, no, I can't serve you, but the universe wants to match you in a different way? That actually happened with one of my students already. They thought they were going to be one kind of coach, and they became another one, because all these people started lining up. Right. And they felt so happy, but they went, but I really want to be this kind of coach. And I'm like, but look at the 10 people that just showed up to pay you money for that kind of coaching. Right. So, right. Maybe you need to go on a detour before that you can become the person that can coach that kind of person. Right. Like there is a becoming piece. Every time you set out to manifest or co-create something, you sign up for a personal growth experience.
Sure.
You just do. Right.
I tell people this all the time. I say, if you want to grow spiritually, don't, go sit in a cave in India and meditate, right? Because then you're going to have cave problems. Like, the cave is too hot, the cave is too cold. Like, start a business or something like that, or, step outside your comfort zone and do something that's going to challenge you every day, because it forces you to do this kind of work to become the thing that you want,
Right. And sometimes in the becoming, you have to let go people, places, things, experiences, scenarios that you've built that you might need to like tear down and rebuild something else. And pivoting is essential to understand that when you do this, like I will give an example because it is true. So we were looking for an office in Toronto, and I could not for the life of me. I was so sure. I saw water. I wanted to be by water. There's nothing wrong with wanting something, right? I plan on having this thing by the water. And I'm going just like how my farm came, 25 acres with a well, with a 40-foot swimming pool, with 3 buildings on it. Yes. And we found it exactly. So which in a different country. That, by the way, that was the caveat. That Mark didn't want to move back to Canada. I went, we found the place, but it's in Canada. And he's like, I'm not going. I went, yes, we are. And I'm very happy we did. So my point is, I was looking in this one particular area of Toronto, and I realized I hadn't done a drawing. And I'm like, you know what? I got to surrender this. I just got to put it on a paper and let it go. Right. So we kept getting turned down. And there's no reason why in this particular neighborhood. And the only 2 places that were available to look at were at a building that was a lot of construction around. I don't want to go there, I said. But then my husband goes, you know what? You know better. You did a drawing and it is on the water. So why don't we go anyway? We have nothing to lose. Sure enough, we get there, 2 of the most perfect places. It turned out amazing. I don't see any construction from the window, and it's completely soundproof. And I was like, are you kidding me now? Because I knew better, because I had surrendered it. And I did also say, take it away if it's not for me. And as we were going towards the beaches again, where I was really insisting, they canceled on us. And I'm like, okay, I get it. And then I found a place where I wasn't going to go. So that's the other thing. You have to recognize, and an author by the name of Catherine Ponder, who is a Unity Church minister, talks about this really eloquently. And I gave you that book to read like a couple of years ago, right? Which was the Dynamic Laws of Prosperity, the Dynamic Laws of Prayer, where they said the shit's going to hit the fan sometimes before you actually meet yourself at the place that you want to manifest. And sometimes, right? And other times there it is. but it won't come necessary in the form. Like it'll come part of it. Like me, for example, I mean, who knows what'll come out of this, but I drew the New York Times on one of my drawings because all my friends were getting New York Times bestsellers and I didn't get one. And I was like, well, maybe I'll get one. And then 2 hours later, I got invited to, and who knows if I get the gig, but to come to New York to meet with them, to talk to them about teaching this for their wellness program, which was to me way more cooler actually. But I was like, well, the New York Times was right, but I didn't get the thing that I was attached to. I got the thing that was right for me. Right? That was enough. Even if nothing happens past that, it showed me this works. So right, you follow the crumbs. And the other thing is manifestation, and people come to this wanting one thing. They want control over their outcomes. People look for certainty with any kind of manifestation. That's why we come to it, is we want certainty, 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 certainty. And at the very end, it's like, wait a sec. That's not what we're really here for. We're here to follow the synchronicities. And that's the certainty that spirit, God, quantum field, whatever your language, is always in partnership with us. Always.
Yeah. But that's a good thing because you end up getting usually better than what you wanted if you can surrender around it.
And surrender, by the way, is really a very, very important thing. I'm actually going to do a little I'll chat about it. But, surrender is about letting go the old persona that is attached. It's not just letting go the attachment to the thing. It's who was I when I was attached to that? Where was I coming from? That what energy did I bring to the attachment? Basically, what self was doing that? I have to let go that self, right? That self. So there is work here. This isn't easy. That's how I met you, Russ. I mean, you were completely a surprise to me, right? I mean, you came through David and I wasn't doing, I had decided not to do any clients at all. And I only took clients kind of like you. But you're not exhausting. Thank God you were not exhausting. You were fun. But I found, it was a lot, right? And I was like, oh, I don't know. And I wasn't even going to do it. And then it was like, you know what? You should come. And it ended up, we're friends, we've worked together, we've helped each other. It's been an amazing surprise. The universe surprised me, right? You showed up plunk as a surprise. And it was an amazing thing. Like I couldn't have made you up. Right. Right. It's like, so I let go certain specifics are important. If I'm going to work with somebody, you have to meet certain criteria, but you met the spiritual criteria. You met things that I didn't know was great. You know what I mean? Right? Like you came with a whole bunch of other great stuff that was so meaningful to me. Right. And so, but I knew intuitively, like I thought, okay, no, you know what? I got to do this. I got to do this. But do I really want to do? Yes. And then the universe kept going, yes, you have to.
I know. Cause it was funny because it was like, David talked to you and David was like, you were like, oh, I don't really want to blah, blah, blah. And then I think you just reached out to me and you were like, okay, I have a massive download for you. And it was like, boom.
No, because he asked me, he said, can you please do this for my friend Russ? He contacted me, he says, please, can you do this for Russ? I went, okay. Right. And then, no, yeah.
Then I think you got more than
give me his email.
You thought you were going to get.
And I was like, I'll just do it. Right. And it was like, yeah. So we just don't know. So spirit decides the form. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. Like when I had no idea. I didn't even know what Hay House was. I was with EMI Music. I had a second album coming out. And then I had knock from Hay House. Do you want to write a book? I'm like, really? And my whole world was changed. Right. And it's because spirit went, this music career of yours, no bueno. You're going to be miserable. Over here, dead people, like woo-woo things. Coaching, the stuff you find so easy. people need that from you. And so it's like we follow the synchronicities and the coincidences into the right self, right? We learn along the way what we need to let go of, what we're attached to. Those kind of attachments can hold us back.
But what I love about this process though is that it's almost like you're not forcing it. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's like, okay, I'm gonna do my freaking affirmations, and we hear this from our clients all the time. Russ, I'm doing my gratitude work. I was grateful for like 3 days, and I don't have a $100,000 a month business yet. I'm like, okay, you can't white knuckle this, like you're sitting there and you've got your marker and you're drawing your lines and you're you know what I mean, and the bubbles and the different things, and it's like it just makes it so much easier, like play than some of the other ways of doing this.
And it also takes you out of the attachment and the chasing. This is not a hustling exercise. And it's a really interesting thing because both exist together. Of course, you have to work hard to get to where you want to go. Okay, let's be honest about that. I work hard. I work long hours. I work, right? But I also know that I am built for something specific. Now, I happen to know what that is now, but it's like I know that I have to ask. So I say, I'm going to just get into gratitude and just practice that as a state of being, not attached to the $100,000 thing. I'll tell you really good. So I drew this because I've been doing these kind of drawings forever, but I didn't know there was any science behind it, or that what the relationship was. I was just like, yeah, I'm doodling along because I always doodled. And so I remember my book, The Map, came out, and it was a big bestseller. It was sold in 27 languages, and I was all full of myself. And Wayne Dyer was like, "Oh, Colette's so great," and I was like, "I'm so great." Anyway, so I had this woman hired me to come out and do a workshop, and she said, "Oh, there'll be 200 people." 12 people showed up. 12 people, and I was like, "I can't go for 12 people." And then something inside me said, "Go. Just go." It was a snowstorm even. And I drove up to Maine because I was living in the States at the time. And I sat there for this workshop. And by the end of the workshop with those 12 people, 8 of the 12 people signed up for an $8,000 program that I had, coaching program. Right?
Wow,
Right? Okay.
that's amazing. And you think that's not
So
possible, and then
because
there it
you
is.
don't think, you think, oh, wait a minute, I have to get paid per person of those 200 people for standing up and speaking. So I'm only going to go for 12 people. I'm not going to make any money. Well, I did because I just said, screw it. I'm just going to serve. And I was super grateful. They were so kind and they were so into what we were doing. And they were right at the end of it. And you know how I offered it to them? Oh, by the way, I'm doing this certification thing. If you want to know about it, you should, talk to Jill. That's how it was. And 8 of them signed up.
It's that
And I'm like,
casual because you weren't attached to it. And when you don't, when you're
know.
kind of like, it's cool
And
if it
I think
happens, it's
that,
cool if it doesn't happen. That's very magnetic.
and that's very hard for people to understand, especially when you're teaching them all the things that you have that get them to align with their coaching business. Because I know you've actually given them all these tools, but they come when they're ready. Like you can have the tools, but then you have to surrender the results and in perfect timing. And the more you surrender, the faster it will come
Right.
in
Right.
the
That's
form that
exactly
is
right.
right for you.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
100%. I think that's a really good place to leave it.
I think
I'm
so
going to
too.
put a link to the book and to Colette's website in the description of this video.
Yes, thank you.
And check out her stuff. Check out this book. Get this book. It's such a unique and cool way of doing some of this work because so many people have so much resistance for, well, I don't want to do affirmations or gratitude, or like if I'm sitting there
No.
going like, oh, I'm worth $1 billion. I'm worth $1 billion. I just feel like a complete liar to myself,
Yeah,
and
but
this is
you
such
can.
a different way of getting there. That's so cool. I
Yes.
really love it.
There are no affirmations here. It's just a line. It's an alignment with a higher state of emotion, and you rehearse and practice that and surrender the results, and you'll be
Well, it
amazed.
feels, you know what it feels like to me? It feels like play. Like we
It is.
all remember what it was like to be a kid and just to be imagining the life that you want. And it's like, this is the path to do
Yeah.
that as an adult without like psyching yourself out along the way,
Yeah, exactly. Without psyching yourself out and not being, I was grateful for 3 days. I'm grateful for 10 minutes at a time. But I am so grateful that I'm stupefied in gratitude until I'm
Yes.
high on it. And then I let
Yes.
it go.
Yeah, it's gotta become your, like, look, what I always tell my clients is that most people are operating down here, right? And
Yeah.
they're basically feeling lousy all the time. And then maybe, you have peak experiences like, it's Christmas morning and you feel really great. And then the next day you go back to
Yeah.
feeling lousy again. I was like, I want to be like, you guys are living up here. And then, you're taking occasional day trips to negative town, right? Which we all
Correct.
do. But your
That's
default is up
exactly
here.
right. My default setting is way higher than way higher. And I have things like ADHD and I have had chronic anxiety in the past and I've had all these things, and had to find so many different ways. I'm in recovery. I'm almost 40 years sober a day at a time. Like I had a lot of shit to deal with. And I found different protocols that worked. So I needed something that worked for me. And that turns out it works for everybody.
Yeah, it
And you
does.
don't
It
need to
really
have an
does.
artistic bone in your body, which is even
No,
better.
it's better. It's better
You
if you
need to
don't,
know
because
how to
then
be
if you do, you're gonna
5.
try to draw. You're gonna be like, oh, it just doesn't look like a Ferrari
Just
or
be
something.
5 years
It's not
old.
supposed to. Yeah, exactly.
Just be
Great.
five
Well, I
years
love
old
it,
and let it
guys.
go. Thank
Definitely.
you.
Yeah, check out the link in the description of this video. Pick up a copy,
This
a
is the
copy of
link.
Colette's book. It is awesome. It's The Art of Manifesting by Colette Baron-Reid. You will not be disappointed. It is a fantastic book. Colette, thanks so much for hanging out.
Thanks
It's
so
always a
much.
joy. And guys, I will catch you on the next video. Bye-bye.